I don't even know if we'll focus on her. See her?
I could see her and oh, there she is. Yeah.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
My dog.
Not the first appearance, definitely not the last.
She's a baked potato. Her name is Indy. I think y'all have heard her name mentioned more.
Probably. That's really bad. Oh well.
If you're new here, I'm Julie.
Yes. Surely if you've seen one of our live streams, surely you've figured that out by now. If not, if you're new here,
hopefully,
welcome. We are chaotic in our own way. It's a way of putting it. We talk about sports, but we're females. So yeah, that's kind of it. I'm typically the rage bait one. I'm always crashing out. Julie's here for comic relief. And yeah, we have a pretty normal episode for you guys today. We have stupid statistics, racing, soccer, radar points, our normal stuff. We have nothing new for you guys. Well, yeah, nothing overly new, but yeah, so before we get too far into this episode, don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Also, turn on our post notifications. We also have a live stream on Friday. We are doing the NFL draft, so it won't be at our normal 9:30 time, I think. It will be like 7 p.m. And you should see the notification for that as well on our YouTube page. So, yeah. I think I got everything.
Alright, guys, so we're going to start off with stupid statistics. We have the New York Giants trade Dexter Lawrence to the Cincinnati Bengals for a 2026 top 10 draft pick, expected to sign a 3-year deal worth $95.4 million.
Yikes. But pretty much he's going from losing in blue to losing in orange. So,
it happens. This year's been a loss for the Orange, I'm not gonna lie. But, moving on, then we have the Baltimore Ravens release their new uniforms. Here's a picture.
I have that picture. Hold on, I'm sending it to you right now. Sorry,
awesome.
I forgot to do that before we started filming.
That's okay.
Hopefully I can't tell. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I think that they look cool.
I'm not gonna lie, they look the same to me, but that's because I'm blind and I can't really see.
Yeah, well, they added the gold. They added
okay, I see the gold now. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to do some research. But anyways, y'all saw the picture. Perfect. And then we have the U.S. Soccer Sporting Director, Matt Croker, leaves his role and heads to Saudi Arabia for a similar role.
Right before the World Cup, too. Like, what perfect timing.
Yeah.
Not that he's done anything great for us, but, neither has the person in charge, so.
But then we have Michael Elise gained over 1.3 million followers on Instagram after playing Real Madrid. I mean, honestly, I was already following him, but if I wasn't, I would have.
I was there before he hit a mill, and that's something I am gonna hold on to.
I can proudly say that too, thanks to him. But again, like I was saying, if you had watched the game, it made total sense. But if you want to see our recap and what we talked about, go check out our last Champions League video. We went into detail on a lot of the games, but really Bayern Munich's game. So if you don't want to miss that, go check it out. And then we have Harry Kane becomes the second Englishman to score over 50 goals in a single season. The first is Steven Gerrard, also the first player ever to be involved in a goal in 5 consecutive games against Real Madrid in the Champions League.
It's a really good week for Harry Kane, and I think his Ballon d'Or odds went up too, so.
And then we have, out of the 4 Champions League semifinalists, Atletico have been in the semifinals 8 times, PSG has been 6 times, Arsenal 4 times, and for a combined total of 18 trips to the semifinals. The other semifinalist, Bayern Munich, has been in the semifinals a total of 22 times.
All I'm saying.
Then we have Cadillac announces the Colton Herter will take part in all 4 of Cadillac's young driver sessions. First one will be in Barcelona.
Yep, so we'll see more of him, and that gives him the points that he needs on his super license to be eligible for F1.
But speaking of racing, not racing.
Yeah, we'll start off with NASCAR, no surprise there. It was the Advent Health 400, and that was in Kansas. Our Stage 1 winner was Denny Hamlin. Our Stage 2 winner was Kyle Larson. And our race winner was Tyler Reddick. Yet again, this is his 13th career win. He's the first driver since Dale Earnhardt in 1985 to win 5 of the opening races in the season. Second place was Kyle Larson. Third was Chase Briscoe. Fourth was Denny Hamlin. Fifth was Bubba Wallace. Sixth was Brad Keselowski. 7 was William Byron. 8 was Chase Elliott. 9 was Ty Gibbs. And 10th was Chris Buescher. So nothing really interesting happening throughout this race. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of slept through most of it because it was just that boring. It kind of reminded me of Monaco last year, where for all my F1 fans, where nothing really happened, and you had those trains of teammates that would kind of help each other to stay in the points. Kind of like that in a way. They really only had cautions after the stages ended, and those weren't due to any incidents or anything, so there was no wrecks. However, the only caution that came outside of after the stage break was lap 398, where Cody Ware spun out, which resulted in the first caution due to an incident, and he literally just spun out in turn 4, so that forced the caution there. It also meant that the race was going into overtime, and that was a thing within itself because it opened up the pit lane for everybody to go in and get a fresh set of tires if they chose to, or you could do 2 tires on one side, 2 tires on the other, or just top off fuel. So I think that they said the top 9 all went for 2 new tires, but then 10th, where Chase Briscoe was at that point, opted for 4 tires. Or maybe Briscoe had been in 9th. I'm not quite sure. But either way, we kind of see out with the results how the 4 tires was better to be on rather than the 2 tires. But somehow Tyler Reddick made it happen, because before the caution was called, he ran out of fuel, so he had to flip to his reserve fuel, which you don't necessarily want to be on.
Yeah.
And the caution that came out was so lucky for him, but then they opted for 2 tires instead of 4. So it's on the restart. And Christopher Bell, I forget which place he's in, but he was ranked first on restarts for the entire season. And he had a great restart yet again. He comes up, he challenges, but then he gets put into the wall. He loses the car, so he bounces off of the wall, and then he comes back in and gets Denny Hamlin, who had been leading, and then that allows Tyler Reddick and Kyle Larson on the outside to go past that, and then Larson kind of pulls away, but somehow Reddick makes a comeback and it wins off the line. So that was it was a great overtime, and I wish that we had gotten more flags so we could have seen it done over and over, because apparently people were going into the fence and they were like, well, this should be a full course caution or whatever, and they just weren't throwing it out, so it's kind of weird. But also a weird coincidence here is that whenever Tyler Reddick has won this season, Michael Jordan has been there, and he was there today. So, but the races that he hasn't won, Michael Jordan hasn't been there. So maybe we'll see Michael Jordan at the rest of the races this season.
A coincidence? I think.
So yeah, our standings, Tyler Reddick still in first with 457 points. Denny Hamlin moves up over Ryan Blaney. Hamlin has 352 points. Blaney has 337. Then we have Ty Gibbs in fourth with 319. Kyle Larson jumps his teammate Chase Elliott. Larson has 314 points. Elliott has 305. William Byron sits in seventh with 200. Wow, I'm really messing this up here. William Byron sits in seventh with 275 points. Bubba Wallace is also tied with the same amount of points, but because of the way that they break it down with stage 1 wins and whatnot, Bubba is behind William. And then Brad Keselowski is in ninth with 264 points, and Christopher Bell has the last spot in the top 10 with 261 points. So our next race will be Talladega, of course, or the Jack Links 500. That will be next Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Last year's race winner was Austin Cindric, and running out the podium was Kyle Larson and William Byron. So hopefully Hendricks Motorsports can figure out what's wrong with the car and get my boy William Byron up there on the podium, because he has not been doing well this season. I know he's in the top 10, but compared to last season, he's not doing well.
Last season was a good season for him. This season?
Yeah. And then he went and they low-key fumbled it towards the end of the season in the playoffs, and yeah. Not
perfect.
Enough about NASCAR. We're moving on to IndyCar now. So we have Felix Rosenqvist on pole, Pato in P2, and that's the big headliner. You know, they're both really good friends. Pato was Felix's best man in his wedding. So, you know, I thought it was going to be a dream start here at the Long Beach Grand Prix, and that just didn't happen. Anyways, so Alex Palou is our race winner. Felix Rosenqvist finishes second, and Scott Dixon with a third place. This is like his first podium in a while, so shout out to Scott Dixon. Kyle Kirkwood finished fourth, Pato in fifth, Scott McLaughlin in sixth, David Malukas in seventh, Graham Rahal in eighth, Alex Rossi in ninth, and Kiffin Simpson in 10th. So all the Chip Ganassi Racing guys finished in the top 10, because that was below Dixon and Simpson. So hats off to them. But just a little recap here. Again, I'm not going to go into much detail because there was only one caution brought out during this race. Again, it's getting kind of boring without a lot of cautions because you don't force anyone's hand on strategy or anything. So, great. You know, I would really love to see either... Okay, well, we did already see that the NASCAR cars, their tires can pop. and that leads to some very interesting strategy choices. And I just want to see that happen in IndyCar and F1. I really want to see it happen just to see what.
Yeah, because I don't think I've ever seen one of their tires pop unless they like hit a wall and then it popped after.
Exactly.
So,
And these guys aren't doing that. And, well, NASCAR guys aren't doing that, and it just pops. And that's what I want to see.
maybe it's because it's so aggressive, just there's so many laps they're doing and it's just wearing down and like hitting points.
I think the one was the pressure.
Yeah, because they use their tires more aggressively than I think F1 does personally.
It depends
I
on
don't know. Maybe it's just me. It's just I feel like NASCAR goes harder with their tires.
Yeah, well,
But
I'd be interested to see the tire graining that they had in Coda
yeah,
versus F1's tire graining. And I guess we have to take into account the seasons that they're racing there too. Like, being in Texas early in the year, are you really going to have as much heat as you are
yeah.
towards the end of the year? So, I don't know. I'd be interested in seeing the graining of each tire personally, but what do I know? So the IndyCar recap here. So, opening laps, Alex Palou with the early move on Pato Award to take second place. Not very happy with that. I'm not going to talk much about that. And then Joseph Newgarden committed early on to a 3-stop in the race. It was debated between a 2-stop or a 3-stop, and I'm pretty sure a majority of the people did a 2-stop because IndyCar required you to run 2 sets of softs. So you automatically knew that you had to do 2. So yeah. And he pitted, I think it was lap 19, so pretty early on in the race out of 90 laps to make that. Didn't really work out in his favor, however. But then we had Marcus Ericsson out with a hybrid issue on his car. This also happened to Kyle Kirkwood, who was his teammate. That happened earlier on to Kirkwood in the day. The team had time to literally take the whole system out and replace it. However, the team did not do the same for Ericsson because that was in the middle of the race and that would just be a lot of time lost. So that was unfortunate for him. And Ericsson hadn't finished outside the top 5 on street courses this season, I think. So it was really unfortunate for him. But then lap 57, we got our first caution because a carbon fiber part came onto the track. It was a pretty big honking thing. And then, we said about Joseph Newgarden. Well, earlier on, he was dealing with some vibrations from the front left tire after he had a little collision. I think it was with Marcus Ericsson. Didn't really work out in his favor. And then he went and the front right he hit with the carbon fiber. So that almost blew the tire off. So then that led to him pitting again, not necessarily the strategy that he was on, and that kind of ruined his race for him. Pit lane then opened up, and Palou was able to jump Rosenquist off of pit lane to take the lead, and that comes because of Palou's pit stall being literally the last one there, so he didn't have to deal with anyone around him, unlike Rosenquist. So that was not much you can do about that, unfortunately. And then Will Power got a pit lane penalty, and that led him to fall to the back of the field. And not much moves around there. Kyle Kirkwood did challenge Scott Dixon late on in the race. However, it seemed to me like he wasn't really using his push to pass, which he really should have been using there towards the end, but they were saying about him having to worry about fuel and yeah, so Kyle ended up in 4th, Scott Dixon on the podium. And yeah, but our highest mover was Nolan Siegel. He was up 13 spots. He started dead last and he finished 12th. So, shout out to Nolan Siegel. The next race will be in Indianapolis for the Sancio Grand Prix, and this will be in May. It does not conflict with F1, so we have a little bit of time. So, and I'm not even gonna say that because that's not even right. I didn't even finish that. Oh well. But now we'll move over to soccer. Julie, if you want to do Serie A again.
Alright, Serie A. I'm not gonna mess this one up like last week. I struggled. You guys didn't even see it because I cut it out, but I struggled. To be Cagliari. Nothing, and then Lazio beat Napoli 2-1. Juventus beat Bologna 2-0. Atalanta tie Roma 1-1, and then AC Milan beat Verona 1-0. Inter Milan is still in first with 78 points. Milan is in second with 66 points. Napoli is in third with 66 points. Juventus is in fourth with 63 points. Como in fifth with 58. And then Roma in sixth with 58. Milan and Napoli did switch. Just point that out.
Yeah, nothing too big going on there. The Premier League, we have Man United beating Chelsea 1-0. Liverpool beat Everton 2-1. Tottenham tied Brighton 2-2. This is not helping their hopes of staying up in the Premier League. And then the big game, Man City beat Arsenal 2-1. This chews into their lead. Ryan Cherky and Erling Haaland scored for Man City, and Kai Havertz scored for Arsenal. Man City had 12 shots total, 5 shots on target, 59% possession, and 8 corners, whereas Arsenal had 8 shots total, 2 shots on target, 41% of possession, and 5 corners. Not great for Arsenal. This now puts them 4 points atop of the Premier League with 70. Man City close behind them with 67. Man United in third with 58. They are tied with Aston Villa, also on 58, but goal differential is why Man United is above Aston Villa. Liverpool sit in fifth with 55 points. Chelsea in sixth with 48, and Brentford is also tied with 48 points as well, but goal differential. So the top 7, like we said last week, get European spots because of the European coefficients. So now they have 5 Champions League spots compared to 4. And then we have news of promotion in the Premier League because Coventry City got promoted to the Premier League. This comes after they are so far atop of the championship that
Sorry, I just had the server. If you're hearing clippity cloppities, it's her.
But yeah, Frank Lampard and Haji Wright get promoted, and good for them. We will have to figure out the rest of the spots as nothing is set in stone yet. And then to La Liga, where actually league games were not being played this week. It was the Copa del Rey final. It was Atletico Madrid versus Real Sociedad, and this was a great game to watch. It went to penalties. The full-time score was 2-2. Real Sociedad won on penalties 4-3, and Atletico are at risk of going trophyless this season. But the thing that I'm most hyped up about was Real Sociedad's head coach, Pellegrino Matarazzo.
Yeah, Matarazzo.
Is the first American coach to coach a team in Europe's top 5 leagues to a trophy, and he's the first American coach to win the Copa del Rey. So, shout out. I'm really happy about that. But the shocker is Atletico Madrid's Julian Alvarez missing a penalty. And who took their first penalty? I can't remember. But either way, their first 2 penalty takers missed. And it was just like, well, they didn't miss. The goalie saved it. But still, it's kind of crazy. But yeah, shout out to Real Sociedad for winning. But now we'll go to the Bundesliga. The one division that we all love. But start off, we have RB Leipzig beating Frankfurt 3-1. Mönchengladbach tie Mainz 1-1, and USMNT's Joe Scally scored. I haven't watched the goal yet, so I'm gonna go watch that after we finish recording. Leverkusen lose to Augsburg 2-1, so now everyone can't say that Bayern's the only team that lost to Augsburg. Look at this. Whatever. Dortmund lose to Hoffenheim 2-1 as well. This meant that if Bayern won their game today, they would clinch the Bundesliga title. And what did we do? We beat Stuttgart 4-2, so we clinched the title. However, there were no celebrations today, minus the shirts with the cockatoo. I'm not even gonna start with that because that was, I don't even know. I'm not doing that. I love my team, don't get me wrong, but the cockatoo, a little bit weird. Anyways, our goals were scored by Rafael Guerrero, so that's potentially his last Bayern goal that he scored. Nicholas Jackson, the same goes for him. Alphonso Davies scored his first goal since returning from his ACL injury, so love that. And then Harry Kane, of course, adding to the goals. They were scored in the 31st, 33rd, 37th, and 52nd minutes. We had 8 shots on target, 23 shots total, 63% of possession, and 11 corners. So, of course, we won the title with 79 points. Dortmund are in second with 64. Leipzig in third with 59. They jump Stuttgart. Stuttgart has 56 points, again, because they just lost us. Hoffenheim jump Leverkusen for 5th place. They now have 54 points, and Leverkusen has 52 points. So that is the end of soccer, and we will move on to radar points.
Alright, guys, so my last week's radar points was the Acura Grand Prix. It was Long Beach. It was today. We know how that went, so I'm not going to go deep into it. Ends was the Champions League quarterfinals, second leg. Atleti versus Barca, PSG versus Liverpool, and then Arsenal versus Sporting, and Bayern versus Real. Again, if you want to see our video breaking it down, our thoughts and opinions, go watch it. It was put out last week on like Thursday, I think. Thank you. But this week I have the NASCAR Talladega Super Speedway. It's the 25th and it's at 4 p.m. Eastern.
I have the DFB Pokal semifinals, so this is for the German domestic leagues. Bayern are playing Leverkusen on Wednesday, so that's kind of a game that I'm watching. That will be at 2:45 p.m. Freiburg, and someone else is playing in the other game, so we'll see how that goes. We also have AC Milan versus Juventus on Saturday at 2:45 p.m. Eastern Time. That should also be a good game. I haven't really seen the Premier League or other La Liga games, so we'll kind of have to see about those. Let me just do a quick Google just to be sure that there's no big games, because if I'm missing a big game, I'm gonna be taken off. Okay. But yeah, no other big games, unless you're a fan of a team, then maybe you should watch that one. I mean, yeah, that's all I really got. Oh, but we will have our F1 preview out Just kidding, that's not this week. That's next week. So be on the lookout for that.
If you don't want to miss that, turn on post notifications. Like this video because it means a lot to us. Let us know in the comments any of your thoughts, opinions, or what you think we should watch this week. Keep in mind we work 8 to 5s every day. But we'll try to watch them the best we can. Check out our links in the description below for our other social media pages. Please go follow us. We have Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. I try and post on it as the best I can, but I forget to. I'm sorry. I love you though. We do have Spotify podcasts, so if you want to just listen to our videos, you can go do that. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And thanks to everyone who has followed us lately. Oh yeah, and the stream. Don't forget our stream. We're streaming Friday night, sometime 7, 8, something like that. Yeah. We'll see when it happens. But that's what we're thinking of currently. So if you don't want to miss that, post notifications. Go follow our Instagram because we post about it on Instagram.